Blackrod is situated in one of the most prominent places in the borough. Walking up and down Chorley, Manchester Road, you are bound to see some fantastic scenery of the hills and valleys surrounding the town. Not surprising, then, is that it has been speculated that the Romans built a fort here. However, no remains of that have ever been found. The town has some fine buildings which reveal its heritage and tell some very interesting stories. The town of Blackrod deserves your attention as its history and prominence go beyond what meets the eye. With beautiful views of Horwich across to the northeast, the high ridge the town sits on dictates the peculiar layout of a single main street, where you'll see all its hidden gems. Historians suspect the Romans had a station here due to the town's unique topography, although there is no evidence. In the 1950s, there were limited excavations allowed in the town. The work found evidence of a castle here in the Middle Ages, as some masonry remnants were found in Castle Croft. These have now disappeared. The excavations found further evidence that supported this with the discovery of coins and other artefacts. The earliest records of the Blackrod Manor show that the feudal lord of the manor was William Peveril, who held the title in 1125. The Crown confiscated the manor from 1153 to 1190 due to the lord of the manor's indiscretions. It then passed through many prominent local noble families, including the Ferrers and Bradshaws. In 1996, the manor was bought in auction for £8,500, allowing the buyer to use the Lord of the Manor title and giving them some mining rights. Previously, the title was held by Anthony Lindsay, Lord Balnuel, the heir to the earldom of Crawford and Belcars. The town is located along what was once the road from Manchester to Chorley. Blackrod was a significant coal mining centre, sitting between the Bolton and Wigan coalfields. The population increased steadily from about 1,600 in the 1801 census to 4,234 in 1881. The decline of the coal mining and textile industries in later years caused the population to decline. Additional changes in employment in the area, with the establishment of the Horwich Loco Works and the construction of the Blackrod train station, made the town more accessible. This allowed people to easily commute to work, thus converting Blackrod into a dormitory town for people employed outside of it. Today, the town has grown further with the construction of residential estates. Even so, you'll still find some of its historical charm around the town. At the bottom of Church Street, in the section of Manchester Road, lies this tranquil yard. It's Blackrod Cemetery and Chapel. There are short gateposts at the entrance to the rows of trees leading to the cemetery yard, leading to the small building that serves as the chapel. The cemetery opened in 1884 when the medical officer for health, Dr. Smith, declared the graveyard in St. Catherine's Church was a health hazard. He forbade the use of the current churchyard. So the grounds you're visiting now were purchased at the cost of £2,200, almost £1.8 million today. This sum included the construction of the chapel. Richard Knill Freeman, who also designed the nearby vicarage, designed the chapel. Its unique features include an arched brick doorway and a slate roof with a distinctive round spire. The chapel is a symmetrical building with a very steep, tall roof. The first burial was for David Milner, who died of a fever. He was buried in June 1886. He was a nonconformist and was buried in the nonconformist section, which had not yet been consecrated. His epitaph reads, "After his painful fever, he sleeps well." After World War I, a cenotaph was built to commemorate the 43 local men who fell. After World War II, 19 more names were added. Walk to the end of the graveyard and you'll have a great view of Horwich. The house inside the garden, well hidden by trees, is marked by the sign on the gatepost, Old Vicarage. The parish church provided accommodation for the vicar, but it was quite a distance from the church building. This old vicarage was built in 1870 by the same architect who designed the cemetery chapel. It's a 2-storey building at the front, along New Street, and 3-storey at the back. Although referred to as old, there was an older parsonage building on the Blackrod map of 1845. It's one of the most prominent houses in Blackrod and provided all the comfort and luxury required by the most distinguished clergy as the head of the parish. The house has a stained glass window above the entrance. The row of cottages opposite the junction with Vicarage Road is one of Blackrod's most recognised locations. The layout of the cottages means they are set back at an angle from the main road. This is different from the rest of the houses, which are parallel to the street. You'll find the cottages in lots of photos, pictures and drawings of Blackrod. They are prominent because of the small village green and the pond in front of them. The cottages were built on land belonging to Pool Green Farm, giving them their name. They were built in the 18th century. One of them was converted from the original barn used by the farm. The original architecture is still evident in some of them in the form of stone floors. The cottages were built after Pool Green Farm was demolished as part of the town's scheme to widen the roads. The 2 semi-detached houses at numbers 227 and 229 New Street are now residential properties. However, the crest over 227 tells us there had been a small police force here, established in 1870. Before that, there had been a prison in the town that served the community. It's not known when the lockup was founded, but it was demolished in 1860. The need for this station was initiated by the police force headquarters in Wigan. They purchased a plot of land in Blackrod to house the police station and strong rooms for temporary confinement. The new station was part of the Bolton Constabulary, and the cost of the purchase and station build was £850, about £600,000 today. In 1881, the police station had 2 constables, Isaac Simpson and John Smith. The station was based at 227 and 229 became the constable's home. The church is the largest building in Blackrod. It's situated at the highest point along the road from Manchester to Chorley. A church was founded here in 1335 and dedicated to St. Catherine, as it was originally spelt. The church held regular services for the souls of the Bradshaw family who endowed the church, as well as for King Edward II. The current building was built in 1766, when the original church was rebuilt and enlarged. A stone windowsill in the tower has the date 1638, but it's likely to have been placed there during later alterations or maintenance work. That stone was probably taken from one of the cottages that were demolished at the time. A black stone at the foot of the tower commemorates the rebuild in 1766. The church was built in a Norman style, characterised by rounded arches and a buttressed tower with small spires on each corner. Originally built with 1 bell, in 1791, 5 more bells were added. These bells were recast in 1922 and the clock was added in 1947. The cost of the construction in 1766 was £1,025, over £2 million today. Pews were sold to parishioners for between £5 and £7 16 shillings, about £16,000 today, to help offset the cost. Today, all that remains of the school is a stone sign on the parish church wall saying, Blackrod National and Sunday School, 1845 AD. The stone was once located on the central gable of the school building, which was demolished in the 1980s. The grammar school was opened in 1568 to provide education for the children of notable families. The working-class children had to support their families by working in the fields, or later down the mines. For them, the only education was provided sporadically by the church, without any predefined educational programme. Several of the children from the working classes managed to get into grammar school when their tuition fees were paid for through donations. They also benefited from the free clothing provided to needy children by one of the legacies. These children left school at the age of 11 to work. In 1811, the National Society for Promoting the Education of the Poor in the Principles of the Established Church in England and Wales was founded. The Society's purpose was to provide education with the principles of the Church of England. This school was one of the national schools established by the Society. The school building was funded through donations, with £450 coming from the government and £300 from the National Society. The land was donated by a local resident. The local population's views on education varied at the time. Many people in town thought that children's education was a luxury for working classes. All they needed was to spell simple words, read the newspaper, and add up a shopping bill. Hence, most children only attended Sunday school, which was sufficient to gain that knowledge. Before the Elementary Education Act in 1870, families didn't have to send children to full-time education. Schools also didn't have a national curriculum to adhere to. So subjects such as science or history were rarely included in national schools. In 1864, government inspectors visited Blackrod National School to assess its achievements. Their report was quite encouraging. About half of the 168 children attending the school were presented for examination. Almost all of them passed in reading, writing, and arithmetic.